Hi there, my name is Lindsay Tyson, and if we haven't had the opportunity to meet yet, I am the Undersecretary General of Administration for MMUN 61. In this video, we're going to be giving you some advice on what to expect for your first formal session at Midwest Model United Nation and get you ready for that experience. While many of these tips and tricks are universal to Model United Nation conferences you may participate in, make sure to always double check the rules and procedures of whatever conference you're attending if you're using this training for another conference. You'll also see everyone in this video is what we would consider Western business attire appropriate for Midwest Model United Nations. Make sure to check our website for our dress code if you have more questions regarding that. And with that, let's get into what we're going to be going over in this video. So what we're going to address today includes roll call, opening statements, common motions, additional speeches, asking a question, and general communication with the dais and your fellow delegates. At the beginning of each session, the chair will call roll for a committee. When you hear that your country name, you will respond with either present or present and voting. This is not a time to give speeches or opening remarks. That'll come later. So with that, let's see what that looks like with help of more of our Model UN colleagues and volunteer staff.
Thank you, delegates. Our formal session will be starting. I will be taking roll. You have two options when doing roll call. It's present or present and voting. If you choose to say present, you can abstain from substantial matters. If you say present and voting, you must vote on any substantial matters. I will start with, starting with roll with China. Are you present or present in voting?
Present.
Great. And then Ireland.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, fellow delegates. The Republic of Ireland is present and voting.
Thank you. And Sudan.
Present.
Thank you. All right, delegates, we have 3 present, and the quorum is going to be what it takes to pass a substantial matter. So there needs to be at least one person in the room during a vote in order to pass matters such as papers or any type of motion. Thank you.
So with that example, you also saw that the chair presented some information to the body regarding the numbers for quorum and the numbers for majority, so you know what you need to pass substantive matters. During all formal sessions, you want to make sure to be silent if you have not been called upon by the dais. So make sure to keep your microphone on mute when it's not your turn to speak, so you can pay attention and hear your fellow delegates. This will also help with background noise on the Gatherly platform. Additionally, we would follow the same rule if we were in person at conference. We want to make sure to be silent while anyone else is speaking during formal session. Next up, your chair is going to ask delegates to give opening statements. Your chair may or may not entertain a motion for a time limit for opening speeches. It may be good for you to come to a conference with a speech prepared that is 3 minutes long and another abbreviated to 1.5 minutes or 1 minute long. Ultimately, the committee would vote on an accepted motion for the time limits of opening speeches. At this time, you could have a prepared speech that highlights some of the following as common practice. Firstly, you want to thank the chair or dais for giving you the opportunity to speak. Part of Model United Nations is learning how to be diplomatic, learning how to entertain and work with others in a very diplomatic way. Same goes, you're going to thank the members of your committee for joining you. Make sure to refer to them in a diplomatic manner again as delegates, honorable delegates, or distinguished delegates. Something to that effect. Introduce yourself as your member state, and make sure to always refer to yourself as your member state that you are representing. For example, you're going to want to avoid any I statements. Instead of saying, I believe, you want to make sure, for example, you say, China believes. Share why your member state is excited to be discussing the topics at hand. What does your member state care most about with the topics that are an option for you to talk about in your committee? Mention a few successes that your member state has had with regard to the topics. Also, mention a few concerns your member state has with regard to the topics. What do you want to discuss with your fellow delegates on the topics? Your opening statement's going to give them some insight into that. If you feel very strongly about one topic over the other and want to make mention of which you would wish for the body to discuss, talk about it. Express that you feel it's more pertinent to talk about topic A first, for example. At the end of your speech, make sure to thank the chair again for giving you the time to speak. Remember, the point of the opening speech is to let your fellow committee members know what your member state finds important to discuss over the next few days. It also gives the dais the second insight to your research skills beyond your position paper. It's also their first opportunity to see your public speaking skills. You want to make sure you're showing everyone that you came prepared and that you're ready to discuss. So let's take a look at a few opening speeches with help from fellow MMUN volunteers.
Thank you, delegates. The time has been set at 2 minutes for speeches. Were there any delegates wishing to give a speech at this time? Sudan.
Thank you, Honorable Chair and fellow delegates. Sudan looks forward to working with all of you in this session and believes that we should start with topic A, cybersecurity. Sudan believes that cybersecurity is an essential part of maintaining international security in a technologically advanced society. Sudan, guided by UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres' January 2017 remarks to the Security Council on the necessity of building and sustaining peace to prevent conflict, expresses its hope that the United Nations can create multilateral solutions to threats posed by cyber warfare in order to further international peace building. To this end, Sudan would like to motion to bring topic A to the floor at this time.
Thank you, delegate. At this time, I will have to rule that motion out of order as we have several other delegates wishing to make speeches at this time. Thank you for your speech.
All right. So now that you've had the opportunity to see an opening speech, and while you are not required to hit on every aspect of the guideline or all the parts that our example did, it's just a place to start. You will see that delegate motioned also to consider a topic at the end of the speech. The delegate is allowed to make a motion at the end of their speech. However, as in this example, the chair may sometimes find that certain motions are not in the best interest of the body. In the previous case, there were many more delegates wishing to give opening speeches, and the chair found it best that everyone hear those speeches. We're going to take a look and see what would happen if the delegate did have an opportunity to speak and the chair accepted that motion. Thank you, Honorable Chair and fellow delegates. With that being said, the delegation of China wishes to motion to be in consideration of topic A, cybersecurity.
Thank you, delegate. All right, we now have a motion on the floor to consider topic A. Just before we do vote on that, I want to let everyone know what that means. So if we do vote this in and we are in consideration of topic A, this does mean that in speeches and other papers, we cannot refer to any other topics, only topic A. So all those in favor of topic A, please raise your hand. All right, seeing two, and that is the majority, so that it means that we are now in consideration of topic A.
So now the body is in consideration of a topic area. Something important to consider is all formal speeches must remain germane to that topic. If your speech begins to trail off into something else way off topic, especially if it talks about the topic not on the floor, the chair is going to remind you and all the other delegates to make sure speeches remain germane to the topic. They also may interrupt you during your speech. However, delegates should never interrupt another delegate while giving a speech. This is only something the chair would do, and it's only done on rare occasions. Also at this time, the chair may ask for any points or motions. We won't be going into all the points and motions available, because later on there's going to be a rules training released by the presidents of MMUN 61.
All right, delegates, we are now in consideration of topic A. Were there any other points or motions on the floor at this time? Sudan, what point do you raise?
Motion for a 15-minute recess for the purpose of caucusing.
Thank you, delegate. Just a small reminder, at Midwest Model United Nations, we don't have to say a purpose for caucusing. We can just say motion for a 15-minute recess. All right, so that was a motion for a 15-minute recess. All those in favor? And opposed? All right, we are now in recess for 15 minutes. China, what point do you rise?
Thank you, Chair. Point of parliamentary inquiry. What time will we reconvene formal session?
Thank you. That is a point of parliamentary inquiry. We are returning at 6 p.m.
So we had a few items to review there. A motion for recess and a point of parliamentary inquiry. At MMUN, we don't specify what we're taking a recess for. We just motion for the amount of time we think is best. The chair will sometimes deny or ask you to amend a request if they feel the break is too long for the amount of time left or what is preferential for the body. Let's say the committee has been in recess for some time and is coming back to formal session. You want to make sure you are back in your room at this time. Formal session cannot begin unless quorum is met, so make sure you and whoever you're working with are back on time. What may happen next is delegates will give speeches with regard to what they are working on, possibly shout outs to other delegates they are working with, and ask other delegates to join them in finding the best solutions. Remembering that we simulate the United Nations, so we're trying to simulate consensus, just as the United Nations tries to achieve. Make sure you are showing your willingness of inclusivity and getting all member states' perspectives in what you are working on.
For the delegate of Sudan, you are recognized for 90 seconds. You're muted.
Thank you, Honorable Chair and fellow delegates. Sudan has been collaborating on a working paper that endorses programs such as the Honeypot Research Network of the ITU, which provides member states with network sensors to notify them on threats to national networks in the form of real-time cyber attack maps. Sudan has been collaborating with countries such as Djibouti, Egypt, and Costa Rica, and looks forward to working with other delegates on this working paper. At this time, I would like to yield to points of information.
Are there any questions for the delegate? All right, seeing China, what is your question?
Sudan, you mentioned that you were talking about in your...
Delegate, I do apologize. If you could direct your question to the chair.
Oh, my apologies. Thank you, Chair. Would the chair please direct the following question?
So directed.
Sudan, what you presented sounds like it might infringe upon China's ability to monitor and keep its citizens safe from different items on the internet and impedes upon our sovereignty. Is that what's happening in your working group?
Thank you, Chair. Will you please direct Sudan's response?
So directed.
Sudan believes that as this is a program overseen by the ITU completely at the discretion of the member states, that it does not infringe upon the sovereignty of member states in this area. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Delegate. Your time has expired.
As you just saw, at Midwest Model United Nations, delegates are able to yield their time to questions at the end of a speech. A few things to keep in mind. If your speaking time is only 90 seconds and you've waited till 80 seconds to yield to questions, you don't really have enough time for a delegate to ask you a question and give yourself a response. Additionally, your committee may have voted for 90 seconds for speaking time and 90 seconds for questions. That's an option too. At any time, you can vote to change the speaker's time, and you can have it tailored to something where it's a certain amount of questions, a certain time limit on questions. It's up to the body to decide what is best. Just try to make sure you're managing your time when you're giving those speeches. Additionally, you want to make sure you're managing time when you're asking a question. You don't want to have a statement or a really lengthy question. You want to get to the point so the delegate has an opportunity to respond, and that the way the rest of the body can hear you. We hope this video has been helpful to yourself, your fellow Model UN teammates, or Model UN persons in your classroom. And this will help you at Midwest Model United Nations for formal session and possibly Model United Nations conferences you'll attend in the future. Thanks so much for watching, and make sure to subscribe or follow our social media to see more videos like this come out to help you prepare for your next Model UN conference. Thanks so much, and we hope to see you at Midwest Model United Nations 61.